April 15, 1912, the night that shattered illusions and sent shockwaves through the world. The RMS Titanic, the crown jewel of human engineering, met its icy fate in the North Atlantic. Over 1,500 lives were lost. The world mourned. But what if that night had gone differently? What if the Titanic had never sunk? What if it had reached New York in grand triumph, her passengers stepping off into history rather than becoming it? Could the 20th century have unfolded in a completely different way? Could one ship and one near miss have altered the world we live in today? In this alternate timeline, the world we know may not even exist. Welcome back to Timelines Rewritten, where we don't just explore what was, we reimagine what could have been. Today, we turn our attention to the Titanic, not as a tragedy, but as a triumph. As a ship that conquered the Atlantic and left history untouched, or so it might seem. The Titanic was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of modernity, excess, of human confidence at the dawn of a new century. On board were the world's wealthiest tycoons, hopeful immigrants, seasoned sailors, and families chasing new beginnings. And when the ship sank, it didn't just take lives, it took an era with it. But in this alternate scenario, Titanic survives, and so do the possibilities that vanished with her. Let's begin with the most basic alteration, survival. In this timeline, the Titanic narrowly avoids the iceberg. Perhaps a lookout sees it a minute sooner, perhaps the turn is sharper, perhaps the sea is just a little more forgiving. And just like that, over 2,200 passengers and crew make it to New York. Among them, John Jacob Astor IV, the wealthiest man aboard, whose fortune would go on to influence politics and tech innovation. Isidor Straus, co-owner of Macy's, whose future philanthropy may have reshaped New York's skyline. Benjamin Guggenheim, part of the mining empire, whose survival could influence industrial relations and global finance. The press would explode with praise. Titanic became a tale of heroism, luck, and unsinkable engineering, further cementing the myth of man's dominance over nature. But here's the twist. That very survival may have blinded us to the dangers just beneath the surface, quite literally. In the real timeline, Titanic's sinking sparked immediate and sweeping changes. Mandatory lifeboats for every passenger. 24/7 radio communications on ships. The International Ice Patrol, which still monitors North Atlantic routes today. But in this alternate world, those reforms never happen, at least not urgently. Why would they? The Titanic made it. And if she made it, why fix what isn't broken? Without the tragedy to catalyze action, safety remains a secondary thought. Future ships could push limits even further, more passengers, fewer lifeboats, bigger risks. Would another disaster, perhaps even more devastating, be required before the world woke up? Sometimes, tragedy becomes the price of progress. And in avoiding it, we might have delayed the very safeguards that save lives today. The Titanic's elite class wasn't just wealthy, they were powerful. Many of them were gatekeepers of the Gilded Age, an era marked by opulence, monopolies, and unchecked capitalism. With their survival, their empires continue unchecked. There's no vacuum for progressive voices to rise. No moment of reckoning. The calls for social reform, workers' rights, and income redistribution may have been stifled or delayed. And then there's the symbolism. In our world, the Titanic's sinking became a metaphor for the arrogance of man. The hubris of thinking we had conquered nature, time, and mortality. In this new timeline, that humbling never happens. The illusion of human invincibility stretches longer. Perhaps too long. Would that illusion cost us even more in the years to come, through war, industrial recklessness, or environmental disregard? The Titanic carried people from all walks of life, from the glittering ballrooms of first class to the crowded hopes of steerage passengers below deck. Many third-class passengers were immigrants. Irish, Scandinavian, Eastern European, escaping poverty, persecution, or simply chasing the dream of America. In this timeline, they survive. Thousands more stories are written: shopkeepers, inventors, factory workers, community leaders. Their children and grandchildren may have helped shape 20th century America in untold ways. Titanic's successful voyage may have amplified the allure of immigration even further. If even the mighty Titanic makes it safely, people may say, surely the voyage is worth it. The American dream could become even more deeply etched into the cultural imagination, and with it, a different kind of America may have emerged. Now, let's hear from you, the time travelers of imagination. What do you think would have changed if the Titanic had never sunk? Would the 20th century have been stronger, faster, richer, or more reckless, unequal, and dangerous? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're loving this historical what if, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next journey through the timelines that almost were. History is a delicate balance: one moment, one decision, one tragedy, and everything shifts. The Titanic's sinking was heartbreaking. But it was also transformative. It forced humanity to reflect, to change, to safeguard against the future. In imagining a world where that iceberg was missed, we're not just playing with fantasy, we're learning how much one event can shape everything else. So the next time someone says what if, don't shrug it off. Dive in. Because the world isn't just made by the events that happened, it's shaped by the ones that didn't. Now here's a twist most people don't think about. If the Titanic didn't sink, we wouldn't have Titanic movies. James Cameron's 1997 film wasn't just a love story, it was a global phenomenon. It introduced millions to the tragedy, stirred conversations about class, sacrifice, and fate, and became one of the highest-grossing films of all time. But in this timeline, there's no sunken ship to discover. No wreckage to explore. No haunting tale of love and loss to dramatize. Without the tragedy, there's no king of the world, no emotional "my heart will go on," no cultural imprint that bonded generations over a shared historical narrative. The story of Titanic becomes a triumph, maybe a line in a textbook, not a cinematic legend. Pop culture loses one of its most iconic stories. And Leonardo DiCaprio. He might have become a household name through something else entirely. Now, let's hear from you, the time travelers of imagination. What do you think would have changed if the Titanic had never sunk? Would the 20th century have been stronger, faster, richer, or more reckless, unequal, and dangerous? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're loving this historical what if, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next journey through the timelines that almost were. History is a delicate balance: one moment, one decision, one tragedy, and everything shifts. The Titanic's sinking was heartbreaking. But it was also transformative. It forced humanity to reflect, to change, to safeguard against the future. In imagining a world where that iceberg was missed, we're not just playing with fantasy, we're learning how much one event can shape everything else. So the next time someone says what if, don't shrug it off. Dive in. Because the world isn't just made by the events that happened, it's shaped by the ones that didn't. Thank you for watching Timelines Rewritten. Until next time, stay curious and stay questioning. Because the past isn't fixed, it's just one version of the truth.